Today's aim is that students will be able to solve equations using the distributive property. Let's look at some vocabulary first. The distributive property allows you to multiply the number outside of the parentheses by everything inside the parentheses. For example, A times, there's invisible times here, B plus C is the same as A times B plus A times C. Or 3 times x plus 1 is the same as 3 times x plus 3 times 1, which is 3. Key points. To solve an equation, use inverse operations in the backwards order of operations, starting at the bottom. Distribute first to get rid of parentheses. Then undo addition and subtraction. Undo multiplication and division. Your goal is to have the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign. Any operation you do to one side of the equal sign, you must do on the other side. So let's look at some examples. Number 1, first thing we always do is draw our dotted line down from the equal sign. Then I'm going to distribute. I multiply this 2 outside of the parentheses by everything inside. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 6x. When I multiply, I just multiply the coefficient. So 2 times 3x gives me positive 6x. Then I bring my plus down, and now I multiply 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is just 2, and equals 8. Now I've distributed. Now I'm ready to undo addition or subtraction. So I see this plus 2. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. Cross these off, and I have 6x equals 8 minus 2, which is 6. Divide both sides by 6. These cancel out, and you have x equals 6 divided by 6, which is 1. Let's look at the next example. Draw my dotted line down from the equal sign, and now I distribute. This is a negative 4 out here in front. So I have negative 4 times positive 6x. A negative times a positive is a negative 24x. Bring down my plus. Now I have negative 4 times positive 4. That's going to be negative 16 equals negative 16. I put the parentheses around a negative number. Now, plus a negative, we don't usually like to write that way. We like to write it as in just a subtraction. So negative 24x minus 16 equals negative 16. Plus a negative is the same as just minus. Now I'm ready to add 16 to both sides to get rid of it. Goes away, and now I have negative 24x equals, well, negative 16 plus positive 16 is 0. If I divide both sides by negative 24, these cancel out, and I'm left with x equals 0 divided by 24 is simply 0. Example number 3. I draw my dotted line. Again, I multiply the number outside by everything inside. That's distributing. So to distribute, I multiply 2 times 3. 2 times 3 gives me 6. I bring down my minus sign. 2 times 3x gives me 6x equals negative 6. Now this is where it's a little tricky. I'm ready to undo my addition or subtraction. I want to move this 6 over with the other negative 6. But instead of looking at this minus in between here, I want to look at what sign is in front. There's an invisible positive. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. I only care about the sign that's in front. So now I have, this becomes a negative, negative 6x equals negative 6 plus a negative. So negative 6 plus negative 6 is negative 12. Then I'm going to divide both sides by this negative 6. These cancel out, and I'm left with x equals negative 12 divided by negative 6, which is positive 2. Let's look at the last example. I draw my dotted line down from the equal sign. I have negative 4 times negative x minus 2. Now I have to remember there's an invisible 1 right here. So this is negative 4 times negative 1x, which gives me positive 4x. I bring down my minus sign. Now I have negative 4 times 2, which gives me negative 8, equals negative 40. Now, minus a negative is the same as plus a positive. So now I have 4x, or rewrite it, 4x plus 8 equals negative 40. So I'll subtract 8 from both sides. These cancel out, and I have 4x equals negative 40 minus 8, or plus a negative 8, which is negative 48. Then I divide both sides by 4, and I am left with x equals negative 48 divided by 4, which is negative 12. Now it's time for you to practice.